you, Premier. I think just to update on some of the earlier information, we had questions about the company developer. The developer's name is Neotrend Group. ICE Projects is what the name of that development is. So Neotrend Group, ICE Projects, ICE, ICE. And they submitted plans on the 22nd of December 2022, which were then approved on the 6th of July 2023. So that site, the earth is 1,228 square meters, and it consists of a basement and then parking, above ground parking, and then 4 floors of flats, and a total of 42 flats over those 4 floors. And that footprint on that site is 887 square meters. So in effect, the construction material, then the gross lettable area, if you want to look at it in those terms, is 4 times that. So it's just under 3,600 square meters of construction that is standing above the parking that's above ground. So that it's standing on those stilts. So that basically is that information which I think was requested earlier, and so that's basically what we need over there, I think, to help yourselves as media.
Said that you would be present. We've asked you to join us. I know you've been thrown directly in the deep end, but I don't know if you want to just comment. I'm sure there will also be questions about an investigation, but you're the professionals being assigned to do the oversight.
I can just say that we've been to site, taken a lot of photographs. It is a major disaster from a structural point of view. It's much too early for us to make any comments on what has happened. We will endeavour to work as hard and as quick as possible to get to an answer. That's what we can do at this stage.
Right, there was just a short opening. Obviously, that's the information that we've gathered between this briefing and the previous briefing. I'll now open the floor to questions. The same rules apply, please. If we could just take those questions in groups, 2 or 3 questions at a time. If you can indicate the media house, media outlet that you represent and who your question is directed towards. So I'll open the floor to questions both in person and, of course, to those joining us online. You can raise your hands online or you can type your questions in the chat box. Let's start with the people in the room here. I see one hand is shot up. Marvin, morning.
Before, I have a question for the mayor. You said that the building plans were approved in July the 6th, 2023. When was the last time that building was inspected? And some of our sources are saying that the concrete was not dry, which led to this disaster.
Yeah, I see one hand is shot up. Marvin.
And when exactly did you speak to the contractors? Thank you.
Belani.
I don't know if the MEC or the Premier would answer this, but looking, getting the updates from the experts on the scene, is the Premier or the local government exploring, maybe considering declaring this a provincial disaster?
Any further questions? Eden FM, yes. Right, we'll deal with those questions first. The building plans and the allegations of wet concrete. Do we have any information on that, May?
Yes, I think the way these developments work on a site of this nature, where there is a construction and a construction activity that would then require structural engineers. The process works from the time that that plan is approved. It is then that construction company and the team of professionals that are involved, structural engineers and whatever mechanical or civil engineers that need to be on site, safety officers, then need to comply with the relevant legislation and rules in terms of constructing that site and checking all of that concrete before you undertake the next process on that site. So they are the professional body who then needs to undertake that work, or the engineers then need to make sure that the construction company complies with the costing of the cement, costing of the building as such. So that effectively deals with that. Yeah, the project, just noting as well that the project has been registered with the NHBOC as well.
Thank you very much. I'll endeavour. First of all, the question on a provincial disaster, no, not yet. But the Director General who's sitting here has already had a discussion with the MM. I mean, what we're doing is we will make funding available. You know, whatever is needed, we need diamond cutters, if we need whatever, we've just got to make sure that, because that's why you would declare a disaster. But in the interim, it's not, you know, that we're not talking about that. We're just making sure that whatever resources are needed are applied and brought in as quickly as we can. And then I can't answer the question on how many people. I know that, you know, obviously, as you heard earlier, people that they are speaking to through their cell phones are being told to turn them off and on so that they keep the battery life going. They're using the dogs. So I really can't tell you what the number is, and I don't think that the team could do that either. And obviously, at the moment, it is 24 hours on. That is already you know, a fair amount of time. And as I think Colin Diner said earlier this morning, you know, the 48 hours is sort of critical. And then once you go to 3 days, that's, you know, the 48 hours only about focusing on saving lives and getting people out as quickly as possible. Of course, now this is also when all the other specialists have come in, because you've got to cut up those big concrete sheets and try and lift them off, etc. But you know, they've got to be left to do what they do best. And yeah, so I can't really answer the number question.
Right, there's a question in the chat box, or just a issue of clarification. The Herald is asking just if you could, may I please just repeat the name of the contractor, and then just generally to the panel, how many of those trapped are currently in contact with officials at the site? Don't know if we have that detail, but Mayor, maybe you could just field the first part of that question, please.
Developer is Leo Trend Group ICE Projects. Nice developer.
Minister, you were the last at the site. Did you get any clarity as to how many people, rescuers and officials are in contact with under the rubble? I know it does get a bit difficult.
I think it's safe to say it's on 3 different spots. They detected live, but we don't know how many underneath. So they're working as fast as they can to get to the people. And we definitely know of one of these sites that they talked to 2 of the people underneath, but they've also told us that it's quite deep, 3 levels down. So they've gone in 3 levels down and they're standing up straight. So they will get them out as soon as possible.
Thank you, Minister. Are there any further questions from our media colleagues in the room? Yes.
I'm working for Marillo Media. I would like to know if there was the developers, have they contact with you guys or directly and investigations, and have you got a timeline, and when to whom will this report be presented?
Kevin, do you just want to maybe put your question through quickly?
Thank you. I'm Kevin Brandt from ENCA. I just want to know from the engineering expert if there's a basic process that you will be following. What will you be looking at aside from this incident when you get to such a case? What are some of the aspects that you will be looking at? Thank you.
It's a bit early. What we do is we'll go back to the office now, draw up a whole list of items that we will follow. That will include discussions with the design engineers, the developer, so that we get a feeling for the structure and what could have happened. Where are the key points? But it's a long process to go through this, and we definitely follow a very good program to the steps. No, timelines are impossible to give at this stage. You may think you're there, and then suddenly something else crops up and you're 3 years back. I've worked on a previous project that took 10 years to resolve the disaster. I don't envisage that it will take as long, obviously, but it's impossible.
They're absolutely prioritized. And then also, I mean, obviously, the V3 has been appointed by the province, but you must remember that it won't be the only investigation, because SAPS have also got their engineer dispatched from Gauteng today, who also would obviously be, and then the Department of Labour is also obviously involved in the investigation. Nothing else. Well, no, I haven't. I don't plan to. I mean, that must be part of the.
All right, I think we'll go for one last round. I notice the hands very quick up here, and then another one. Gentleman in front.
So I'm not sure, maybe Mr. Bradell can also, I mean, that's all I picked up when I was personally on the site this morning, that the briefing from the disaster management team was that yesterday SAPS, Department of Labour, were involved in the initial space. But of course, remember that it is a scene that the disaster management team and the SAPS are in control of. I also heard that, of course, you can't have anybody coming to site. The focus now is saving lives. That's got to be the focus. You can't have other people trampling all over the place. But I mean, I don't know if you've got any further information.
I mean, I think it's important to acknowledge that even us, we stand back so that people can work the site. It's a crime site as well as a disaster site. So from that perspective, the police very much involved, and disaster management to manage the site, to keep everybody safe and to save lives. That's the main objective. So even us, we stand back so that the professionals can do the work. If you bring in volunteers, they sign in, they've been managed very, very strictly because it's moving material, etc., and it can be dangerous, very heavy material. I don't think there was any malice with that. I haven't picked it up. I've been on the site from 10 o'clock last night. If they call any one of us, we will rectify it. It's not to deny anybody. I made the call last night to ask that the media be allowed to get a bit closer so that we can clamp down on any speculations, etc., so that we can see the operations. So we've got nothing to hide. We've got the main focus on safety.
So maybe on that point, whoever it is, and I'll say it again, I said it in the beginning, Colin Diner, Gerard Otto, Niels Barnard, those are disaster management leads. They're in charge, and then it's Inspector or Colonel. Colonel Kennedy. Those are the 4 people. They're in charge. And so anybody else who wants to make an appointment needs to speak to them, and because the focus is saving lives.
Question from ma'am, yes. If you could just put your microphone on.
Sorry, Jackie Kruger from the Netwerk 24 and die Burger. My question is for Minister Pradelle. I actually just want to ask, how big is the disaster area? And then also the 3 points where you detected life, are they quite close together, or are they like further apart within this parameter?
The area is the construction site of more or less approximately, that may have put 1,238 square meters. And it's on 3 different, it's difficult. It's like triangle. There was 4, but they managed to get the person out there. So now there's 3 left. And as you go to the site, you will immediately see where the disaster personnel, the rescue teams clustered together. And yeah, it's difficult, but it's around about, say, a triangle of 30 meters apart.
Any further questions? Okay, this is the last round of questions, so take advantage. Thank you.
Essentially, my last question is, as you're briefing us, is there anybody briefing the family of the victims? Because there have been people that have been saying that they're only getting updates via the news, and other people do not have access to social media or television right now on site. So is there someone updating the families there?
Okay, so first of all, I can categorically say that that's not true, because I personally briefed the families earlier today. I also engaged with disaster management. It was initially said that let's brief every 6 hours. And I said, I think we should move that up to every 2 hours, so that there's a constant briefing. It'll run through the night. And obviously the only thing that overrides that is every time someone comes out of or is extracted, like we hear it's very close now. Once someone's extracted, then that person, as long as they're able to identify themselves, will then actually go through our social workers that are on site, and then they will identify the family and then take them to the hospital or wherever they're being taken to. So that is the system that's in operation right now. And the social workers are actually, and they are volunteers in with the families. There's food, there's coffee, there's support. Religious leaders are coming in to pray for them, as has happened earlier today, or with them, should I say. And we also created a separate space in the building next door where social workers can actually take people to. They've got the interview rooms have been turned into rooms that they can actually work with individuals if they need to have one-on-ones, etc.
All right, thank you. With that, brings to a close this media briefing. We'll endeavour to keep you informed with all updates as and when they become available. Thank you very much for joining us.